I had a video showing somebody else shot him, I would shot her. I would send that out immediately to the media to create this kind of firestorm to
then
release
you would get the
it.
governor's attention.
Why wouldn't they immediately release a video if it shows? I mean, because that's the smoking gun, literally.
Right.
I don't know. Again, as I stated, I haven't seen the footage yet. But what I will say is that all of the information that's been brought forward and flagged to us is also going to be presented if it hasn't already been sent to the governor's office. And I would also say that it's incredibly important for people to realize that the body cam footage, which I'm sure you guys are aware of, has also reported, and the initial medical responding doctor at the ER with Miss Stallion actually reported lacerations, and also too, the bullet fragments are missing, meaning that they don't have evidence. When you have very wealthy people involved, that he said, she said, evidence goes missing. I mean, this is all something to me that indicates where there's smoke, there's fire, and this screams cover up. And so what I would say is that people need to be very careful about this, because if this can happen to someone like Tory, it can happen to you guys.
Okay. So then the rep post a thread of what seems to be, it's supposed to be this exculpatory type evidence. Let me make it a little smaller. And she said, a day passed, and then she posted this. She said, breaking, this is a new sworn affidavit that has emerged from Kelsey Harris' former bodyguard. It shatters the original narrative used to convict Tory Lanez. According to the testimony, Kelsey fired the gun. Now, this is not testimony. It's sometimes looked at as testimony, but it's not testimony. Even though they do sign under, sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury. It's not testimony. It's an affidavit. According to the affidavit, Kelsey fired the gun, not Tory. Okay, so in the affidavit, the bodyguard says Kelsey Harris confessed to firing 3 shots in the air during an altercation. Tory then tried to de-escalate the situation by pushing her hand down, causing 2 more shots to fire accidentally. Here is the affidavit, and look like this affidavit, and this look like it's the attorneys for the appellant Daystar Peterson. But it is now going to be added to the writ of habeas corpus. There's another affidavit, and it says, my name is Bradley James. This is my address. Unfortunately, they doxed him. I'm sorry. I'm over the age of 18, fully competent. I have firsthand knowledge of the facts in question that took place on 2 days that Miss Harris testified, which was December 14th and 15th of 2022, which is the basis of the above cited proceedings. I work for Elite Security, okay, for approximately 2 years and longer than this for the owner of this company on various projects. Miss Kelsey Harris hired Elite Security to accompany her to court the day she was testifying. Now, let me stop there.
Yeah, let me go ahead and let you say what you're gonna say, because I'm trying to figure out. No matter whose side, what is what, right? Where was this information even before that? Like, that's where I'm getting confused on. But let me go ahead. What you about to say? All right.
At some point, this shit is about to start stinking, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why this shit is gonna start stinking at a point. Remember when Kelsey got on the stand? Kelsey got on the stand and couldn't remember. She couldn't remember who paid for her lawyer. A lot of people felt like her legal representation was not in her budget, and also was probably paid for by somebody else. Now we get to find out she showed up with security. Now, let me ask you a question. If she couldn't remember in the moment who paid for a lawyer, 2 years or 3 years removed, do you think she knows who paid for that lawyer? I don't know, who paid for the security? Do we want to believe that she paid for both? Do we want to believe somebody else paid for both? But her own security is now coming out to say she did it. Whatever. I worked for Elite Security, Inc. approximately 2 years ago, and longer than that, for the owner of this company on various similar projects. Miss Kelsey Harris hired elite security.
But wait, just real quick, Axel, are you trying to get at because these payments is missing? So now, instead of the Tory situation that just happened, you feel me? That that happened while he was on vacation. It's not because of that. Are you saying because of missing payments? That's what you're alluding to. I'm not saying that. That's what I'm confused. Like, why would that even matter when she paid or who she was paying?
To accompany her to the court the 2 days she was testifying. This is the only time she's been declined. I've not worked. Okay, so that's important. The person never worked for Daystar or for Megan.
Mm-hmm.
I heard these statements as we were in the car, getting a bite to eat after court. We went to a restaurant called Fixin's. Okay. Miss Harris and the father of her child were the only people in the car. She later also said similar statements to her attorney of record in front of the courthouse and in the cafeteria. She was nervous and speaking generally, asking questions. By the way, this cannot be admitted. This cannot be admitted. Now, actually could be admitted. Never mind. So when you talk to your lawyer, it's attorney-client privilege, and it's strictly barred from being involved in legal proceedings, a conversation you have with your lawyer. Now, here's the thing. If you allow a third party to be there, then you lose attorney-client privilege. So supposedly attorney-client privilege is literally only you and your lawyer. If you allow a girlfriend, if you allow your mama to be there, if you allow a security to be there, and your lawyer has these conversations with you, you're no longer protected by attorney-client privilege because of the person who's there.
That makes sense.
And usually most attorneys will tell you that. So attorney-client privilege only applies when it's you and your attorney alone. Okay? Okay. So, all right. So those statements might be admissible, right? They said they heard it with their attorney of record in front of the courthouse in the cafeteria. She was nervous. Her lawyer was telling her it would be okay and that she could plead a fifth. It was uncomfortable. Remember, the lawyer can't say nothing too. So it would just be unethical. Even if it's not attorney-client privilege, the lawyer can't say nothing still, right? Her lawyer was telling her it would be okay. I heard Miss Harris question, how can I not tell on myself? How am I protected if I tell certain things? The father of her child explained immunity of her to her. So she was married to somebody from 1501, or I think still is. Or not married, but that's the baby dad. And he explained immunity to her and said, fixes Miss Harris stated she shot the gun 3 times in the air. So she shot in the air 3 times. And Daystar ran up to her, grabbed her arm, pushing it down, causing the gun to fire twice more. He said, I've not said these statements until now, as I've heard rumors of the threats and that others have received from being involved in this case. Also, I did not want to lose my employment as I rely on such to care for my children. I was not trying to eavesdrop, but I could not help but overhear these statements. Generally, elite security does not follow confidentiality. Yet, we do not have... Generally, elite security does follow confidentiality. Yet, we do not have such an agreement on file, and I decided to come forward as this has been weighing on my conscience, and I've decided the right thing to do is to come forward with this information. Wow. The rep says this claim matches the Ring camera audio from the night of the incident. 3 shots, a pause, and 2 more shots. She says there's no dance, bitch, dance that's heard. There's no admission from Tory, only the sound of a chaotic moment that now aligns with the new sworn statement. Here's the Ring camera footage.
If you wait, time out though. Yeah, that's the fact that if Tory was like you running towards somebody though that's busted in the air though, I can see swiping the arm down and it going off too. What kind of I never knew what kind of weapon it was at that, because that's what I'm tripping off of. I can see once, but twice. I mean, but sometimes I can know the trigger could get jammed. Yeah, Yeah, that's crazy.
One more time. So supposedly 3 shots in the air.
Three
Tory
shots.
comes over,
Hit the
2 shots, but aimed at the ground. We don't hear any screams. We don't hear anything. By the way, this ring footage was indeed brought up during the trial, contextualized as this was a ring footage inside somebody's house. The incident took place outside. It doesn't seem to capture any of the commotion in terms of arguing, but it does capture the gunshots, right? The rep says the original DNA report from the firearm, it showed that Tory Lanez was excluded as a match for the magazine and conclusive to the gun. This supports the theory that someone else, Kelsey, fired it, especially with her confession and the matching shot pattern on the audio.
Ooh.
The forensic evidence tells a real story. The gun had 4 DNA profiles, 2 males, 2 females. The main male contributor was 90%. 90% of it was not Tory. There was 0 fingerprints from Tory. 0% of Tory's DNA on the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Just a 0.01% chance of Tory Lanez's DNA being on the gun. Kelsey Harris had gunshot residue on her hands, but her DNA and fingerprints were never tested. So now we have a sworn affidavit from Kelsey's own driver and bodyguard, audio footage that confirms his account, DNA evidence that doesn't place Tory as a shooter, and yet Tory Lanez sits in prison. This isn't no longer about justice. It's about the miscarriage of justice. Free Tory Lanez, Gavin Newsom. It continues.
No. Gavin Newsom said that?
Oh, never mind. It doesn't. Okay.
Not the governor of California.
I'll be honest.
Whoa.
I think there's a campaign and a PR run that's happening that's working in Tory's favor. I don't think the governor will pardon him. But I do believe that the writ of habeas corpus, now that I've seen that they've introduced the new bodyguard statement, I'm moving up that percentage. Remember I said Tory had a 30% chance of getting out? I'm going to say 40. I think it's 40 now. Because they're not just saying shit, they're putting it out. Now, however, it was non-factual that this ring camera footage was exculpatory and would prove exactly who did the shooting. All it did was it proved a bullet shooting pattern that seems consistent with what this person overheard from Kelsey. But remember, this person was not there that night. This person heard this thing 2 years later. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. So we will see. Yeah. We will see. Okay, we're going to move on. Yeah, Remy and Papoose, the drama and the bullshit, man. The drama and the bullshit. Remy Papoose. Don't know if you guys have seen this, man. This man went crazy. Listen to this.
I hate to say this, but you want to know why she started having so much animosity towards me? Because I ended up finding out the truth, y'all.
What's the truth?
I caught her with this individual in our house while my daughter was on the bed with them. Ended up catching it. And I don't even want to bring my stepson in it because I know his situation is very serious and I love him. And I love my son the same. I love both of them. But I love my stepson like he my real son because I raised him. Always took care of him. Everything he went through, I was the one who was there for him. Even right now, the situation that he's in, I went to visit him. You didn't even visit him. So for a person who know what it was to be behind that wall, you didn't even visit him. You waited till I visit him, then you went to visit him.
2 more shots, people.
And you know what? People bear witness to that. But let's keep it moving.
Friday.
Like I said, scroll down my page.